Welcome back. Joining me to talk about the disturbing road truck explosions on Nigerian road is Prince Ache Agu. And he's joining me to talk about this conversation. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
And let's not forget, Mr. Ache is the RAPNEC chairman, that is Road Accident Prevention Network, and we'll be talking about this explosion this afternoon.
You're welcome.
All right. So you've heard from from what we've read so far. We've had series of incidents of tankers explosion, with the recent one happening in Niger State. What do you make of these developments?
It's a disturbing scenario, and a lot of life has been lost. Some factors are basically responsible for this. You have the human factor, you have the infrastructural factor, then you have the mechanical factors. These are the factors, the three major factors responsible for, most of these tanker accidents and explosions.
Mr. Ache, that's quite interesting. So let's take it from the human angle. Because it looks more like man in humanity to man. When people are saddled with responsibility to prevent such accidents and they are not doing it, they are taking charge of responsibility, could we attribute this largely to the human factors?
No, the human factor, when you talk about the human factor, you are talking about the drivers.
Yes.
You are talking about the people who go to scope fuels. You are talking about those who are not up to date.
Even starting from the road authorities, those starting with the maintenance of the road,
exactly.
The road safety network. Could this be that it's because they are not in their place of duty? Like we read, most times when police comes to the scene, tanker, and most of these people that come to spill to take from the falling tankers, they've already come to do damage, and by so leading to explosion. Could this be human factor, be largely why we are having the scenarios?
No, human factor is a contributing scenario. But if you look at it, critically, those people, when people are there scoping fuel, and the fuel is already spilling, it's a dangerous, environment. Everybody has to be careful, because if the explosion happens, even if you are there as a police trying to take people away, you might eventually become a victim. So when the fuel is already spilling, the best thing is to, take off from there, and then, for safety. You can't go in there and say you want to go and, push people away and all that. So that's why we are largely talking about prevention. It's a critical factor in this area. Then those who, and there may be awareness, most of these things fell into the human factor. Letting them know the consequences. For example, they will say, okay, you go there with plastic, don't go there with bucket. You go there with things that cannot spark. Or somebody can just wake up from his house and rush there with, an iron bucket. You understand? And then before you know, the next thing is explosion. Like in the Niger State case, we heard that people were trying to even connect a pipe to start drawing it with their gen, all those kind of stuff from a nearby place. And then, it happens. So that is it, talking about human factor. You talk about those who, you think about those who are there to ensure that nobody gets there. And the drivers, for example, knows the risk. The moment it happens, they take off. They don't wait, because they know it will definitely explode. When it starts spilling, the drivers will take off. They don't stay around there, because the next thing you see is explosion. So what you need to do is maybe create more awareness to see how you can tackle this human factor, and then even if possible, get those who comes to do all these things, maybe arrested or whatever. But when they get there, there's nothing you can do. When it's already spilling, the danger is in the air, and the next thing is, that happen is explosion.
Okay, so Mr. Ache, you're saying that we cannot attribute this to negligence on the part of road safety. Neither can we attribute this to the negligence on the part of the Nigerian police.
No. Basically, if this takes us to the next line of action, when you talk of the mechanical factors, most of those vehicles are not in good shape. They've been used over there, they are weak, they are not being maintained regularly, and then carrying 60,000 liters of fuel, on the highway, which the government is trying to, look into. It's a very big, risky, venture on the highway. And it's not so many tankers are applying the highways. So there need to be a designated route for these tankers. Initially, they said they should be moving just in the night. But it's not working anymore. They move all the times now.
Mr. Ache, I don't know if you're getting this angle, because first we have the VIOs.
Yes.
Who is supposed to be vehicle inspection officers,
Yes,
vehicle
yes,
inspection
yes, yes,
officers.
yes, yes.
Then we have the Federal Road Safety Corps. Then we now have a traffic division of the Nigerian police.
And some state agencies, management agencies.
Like, for example, like in Cross River State, in Lasma in Lagos State, UPT in Cross River, and what have you. We have these agencies that are saddled with responsibility of protecting lives even on the road. They get paid at the end of every month. Are you saying at this point in time we cannot attribute any form of negligence to any of these agencies?
No, definitely we have to some extent.
Okay, please.
In the first place, they are supposed to make sure these vehicles are in order by regular supervision, regulations, and enforcement. That is one of their major roles. They need to ensure that before the vehicle is on the road, it meets the safety standard. You understand me? Now, most of this vehicle doesn't meet the necessary safety standard. Some of them are worn out. Some of them have, in short, they don't have the necessary requirements when you talk of vehicle being in place to carry that large number of fuel on the highway. So it is the duty of these agencies to regulate and, if possible, remove these vehicles from the highway.
Okay, so there's negligence on the part of this.
There is a little bit
so
of
if,
negligence.
Because what I'm asking is, if these vehicles are not sound, like you've rightly said, they are having mechanical issue, like you've said. Now, looking at all of this, which agency should be held responsible for vehicles that are not supposed to lift fuel, and those vehicles now leave a depot, move straight to the highways, and now collapse on the road? Don't we have security agencies that will check these all vehicles on the road to ensure to inspect their competence and their worthiness?
It has to do with regulation. For example, the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency came up, I think, towards the end of last week, trying to regulate the number of liters of fuel that most of these vehicles are supposed to carry. In Lagos, they are trying to reduce it to like is it 450,000 liters instead of 60,000 liters. Now that will solve some level, it will reduce this kind of problem. There must be a legislation in place, directing and authorizing these agencies to work and carry out the actions on the road. If there is no legislation there, these people can easily go to court, and then what is happening in Nigeria. Before you know it, like in FTT, the VIOs are somehow handicapped now. Why? Because somebody went to court, and then eventually it's like he won, and I don't know if there's an appeal. So these are the things these people are scared to some extent of coming out fully to enforce most of these regulations. That's the point. But on the lighter mood, they are supposed to be there checking these tankers constantly to make sure that they meet the necessary road safety standard before they apply the highways.
Mr. Prince, Ache Ogu.
Yeah, you're correct.
To a very large extent.
Yeah.
You are a stakeholder in the road safety and preventive network.
Yeah.
And within that chain, within that scope and that space, you understand the level of transportation, and you understand the level of accidents and modalities to prevent those accidents. Let's talk in terms of the drivers that take vehicles from depot to the roads, and these vehicles eventually do not get to their destination, thereby causing mayhem. Are there modalities and structures being put in place to ensure that when such incident happen, the companies that are responsible for that accident or that truck, they are meant to bear the brunt of that accident, and the drivers also are arrested to face the law?
No, it's a very good opinion. That's a very good point. Definitely somebody has to pay for such incidents, such occurrences. Many houses got burnt, many lives, I don't know whether they're under insurance. Some of them are the what do you call, those who have bet this in their family, those who take care of their families.
Breadwinners.
Thank you, breadwinners in their families. So many children will be out of school, many businesses will close down. There are a lot of consequences, attributed to one explosion. So somebody should be able to pay for such damages. Those are the things we are talking about. Somebody should be able to pay, especially the companies involved, the owners of those tankers. If census is taken and they know the number of people that died, what happens to their family? Who takes does it just end like that, or somebody will visit the area and say, okay, I give the family 1 million, I give the whole victims, I give them 3 million. Does it end that way? No, it doesn't. it's not supposed to end that way. The companies involved in moving these vehicles are supposed to pay some level of penalties, are supposed to be involved in compensate the families of the victim. Although we know they will say going there to scop fuel is another crime. You are not supposed to go there. You are not supposed, when the tanker falls and it splits fuel and all that. Then what's the measure put in place to stop the people from going there in the first place? There should be a kind of an alarm system, even possible, on those vehicles when it falls. You understand me? So that people can know that, yes, there is danger there. It doesn't matter where it goes. If it sparks, it's just one. It's an explosion. You cannot escape it. So that's the thing. There are so many factors responsible for all these stuff. So critically, we need to look at it holistically and see how we can approach this issue. The government on this part needs to set up, if possible, a committee to review most of these incidents.
So you're saying right now there are no committees, there are no panels, there are no laws.
There are laws, but I'm not aware of any committee now.
That ensures that the perpetrators of such acts, the companies are penalized.
They are penalized.
There are laws in this regards.
Yes. I don't think I'm not aware of one. So the president is trying. He called on the National Regulatory Agency, National NOA. That's National Regulatory Agency, to wake up to the responsibilities of creating awareness, so that people can know the dangers involved in scoping fuel when there is a split or there's an attack accident. And NOA has woken up to that responsibility. I think they are working. We can see their advert on TV and radio here and there. No, but they need to do more so that the masses can know the risk involved in all this.
All right, Chair, let's talk about the health sector and how it's also affect the road sector. Now, we've seen to a very large extent, when the incident happened, the bonds from eyewitnesses that were present on that spot, the space it took the Nigerian medical centers and emergency network and response unit to intervene. Before they intervened, we saw a lot of bonds. People were already burnt, and some of them were rushed into the hospitals, half dead. And incidents like this is not the first time it is playing out. Are there modalities also put in place to guarantee that the highways have enough safeties in terms of health guarantees for Nigerians?
Well, it's a very big issue. In that angle, we just touched now. Now, there is need for an enhanced emergency response system. Enhanced emergency response. The first thing is to even put up the fire. As a health personnel, it's not your duty to go and stop an explosion. When there's a heavy fire burning and people are burning in there, the fire service and others are supposed to come in first and see how they can put up the fire before you talk of even taking those in the fire out to the hospital for treatment. You see the stages now. So emergency response system need to be improved, like fire services and other stuffs. There are a lot of technological innovations now that can put off fire, like bulb and all those things. I see them around the world now. You throw them in, and then it starts exploding. The way the fire explodes, and the fire goes off. So we need to look beyond our conventional fire services and all the methods we've been using before to put off fires. That's the point. And then there must be a connection between the tankers, drivers, and the fire services along the highways. They need to be stationed. And these are things that most of these companies are supposed to invest in. It's not even just the government. Because the people moving these things are doing businesses. They are making money out of it. What is the level of their commitment to the safety of the people on the highway, the communities on the highways who are always victims of these explosions? Those are the areas that are very critical. That's why we're talking of the government involvement and getting the right people involved so that the right ideas and solutions can come up. Many are going to happen. They will keep happening until the solutions comes. That's the point. There's no way, two ways about it. Now, if you educate the people not to go and scop fuel, maybe if there's an accident for like 10, 20 minutes, it will be calm. Nobody is there, no spark. People say, look at it now. Nothing is happening. This is fuel. Because there's nobody there and there's no explosion. Before you know, they'll start moving in. So the next thing is, if there are security agencies and all around the area, instead of the driver running into the bush for safety, they need to call the area from a distance and ensure that nobody goes in there. You understand?
Yeah,
so
I do.
Improving emergency response is a critical factor
Mr. Oche, we're talking about lives of people, not lives of animals.
Yeah.
You're saying security agencies are not held responsible. You're saying that, okay, let's say uniform personnel are not held responsible.
They are not totally held responsible.
Totally held responsible when incident of this magnitude happen.
Yes, but to some extent.
We are saying also right now, okay, to some extent, but certainly are held responsible.
To some extent.
We are saying that the companies that are responsible for the tankers not doing their homework and allowing those tankers to fall, we've not seen a large percentage of them being prosecuted. So to a very large extent, they are not responsible, and we don't hold them responsible. We are saying right now, again, to a very large extent, there are no regulations from the health sector to guarantee the lives of accident victims in Nigeria. Mr. Oche, it is worrisome at this point, but we need to ask this question. Are we ready as a country to prevent further reoccurrence of truck explosions in the country?
Right now, I think a lot needs to be done for us to know that, yes, we are ready. A lot needs to be done. If I say we are ready now, then I might not be saying the truth. A lot needs to be done. And that has to do with interagency collaboration. It's not about shifting blame. The ministry is supposed to do this, road safety is supposed to do this, VIU is supposed to do this, tankers owners are supposed to do this. There must be a holistic approach. And even bring these tanker drivers together under one roof. If it's their driver, if it's the owners, bring them together under one roof. Those are the things we are working on. Bring them under one roof. Let them know the consequences and how to protect even their own investment. Because they are losing too. For somebody to carry a 60,000 liter of fuel and it just goes like that with the vehicle, you know what it means? He has lost some sizable amount in his investment. So they should invest more in safety and road accident prevention to secure their investment in the business. It's not about government. It's not government might be blamed for not enforcing or maybe putting strict penalties on these people or calling them in a round table and inviting critical stakeholders like us, to participate and give them for example, we've done a lot of advocacies, we've done a lot of media briefings, press release and all that, trying to call the attentions of those who are involved to this issue. And it's like they are waking up to some extent. They are responding. We are seeing some level of response. But it's not as fast as we expected. They need to move more faster. Because you might hear another one tomorrow or next tomorrow. That's the point.
Mr. Chair, at this point, shouldn't we be talking about, because you've mentioned that the president have instructed the Ministry of the National Orientation Agency to begin to sensitize Nigerians on the need for them to evacuate premises and petroleum tankers, create awareness on that regard. But shouldn't the conversation rather be at this point that we should be talking about declaring a state of emergency on Nigerian roads at this point in order to prevent further truck explosions?
Declaring the state of emergency on the Nigerian highway is overdue. Apart from tanker explosions, there are a lot of hazards happening on the Nigerian roads.
All right.
You see kidnapping, you see road accident, multiple accidents, and all that. You see reckless driving, you see a lot of things happening on the highway. So addressing this issue requires a holistic approach. And if you don't declare an emergency in this area, people's attention will not be drawn to it. A lot of people want to participate. They want to say how they can help. But there's no proper channel. A forum must not be open for people to come in and provide solutions and ideas to this issue. For example, the way they do their public hearing in the National Assembly. We have a lot of committees, road safety committees, House of Rep and all that. Why can't they organize a stakeholder forum and bring these people to the round table? Let us reason together how to solve this problem. Because directly or indirectly, we are all victims. That's what it means. Directly or indirectly. Because if it happens, your relations, your friend, somebody else might be affected. It's not just those that get born. Those ones are gone. The agony remains on their people. That is just the point. So there need to be a more concentrated, focused approach bringing the stakeholders to the round table as a way of resolving this issue. You see?
Or Prince, actually, could it be that because the vast majority of Nigerian airlines don't use the public roads, don't go by roads? This is why we are not having this conversation, or is due to the fact that most of their family members are not largely affected and their communities are not affected by so doing. This conversation and the importance of road accident prevention and also truck explosion on the road is not a burning issue right now in the country.
No, the issue is everybody uses the road. That's a mistake most people do. There's nobody that does. You don't fly the plane into your home.
But you can fly a helicopter to your doorstep.
You can fly a helicopter to your doorstep. How many people have that privilege? How many people fly a helicopter to their doorstep? You can't be flying a helicopter from your office to your doorstep. It might be maybe from the airport, if those who are privileged to be in that class. You understand? You must enter a vehicle from the airport to your home. And apart from the highway, you cannot completely avoid the highway. That is the point. Everybody uses the road. That is why the issue is drawing the attention of the critical stakeholders and the government to constantly discuss this issue is one of the, let me say, panacea to resolving this menace. They must be constantly on it, talking about it, getting people involved in. Now, technology has made it, it's not new. This has been happening and a lot of people have been losing their life. But anyway, it happens now because of the phones, the technology and all that. Instantly people get the information. Before, you might not hear it. You understand me? So it is a recurrence or issue. It's happening constantly. And then solving the problem, as we said, requires what? A holistic approach and an increased emergency response system in the country.
All right, Mr. Chair. Let's look at other angles to this conversation. A lot of persons have attributed the truck explosions, especially in Niger State, to be largely due to spiritual attacks, spiritual affiliation. I can see you laughing. But is it possible, is this assertion right, to say that road accidents are attributed to spirituality? People need to sacrifice on the road, people need to do AYZ on the road. Can we attribute those trucks also to spiritual affiliations?
Well, you cannot completely rule it out. But then, like as we said, prevention is always what? Better than cure. We are a praying nation. I think Nigeria is one of the countries in the world that prays more. Most of the religion leaders across the world are Nigerians and all that. So,
and others rely on Nigerians for prayers.
Oh, thank you. Others rely on Nigeria for prayers worldwide.
Okay.
Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So we pray a lot. So when you talk about spiritual factor, I don't know much about, I don't know what to say, but as far as I'm concerned, people shift blames. Sometimes the devil will even be sleeping. They'll be calling this the devil. Maybe that guy has not woken up.
So you said that confidently as if you knew what the devil is sleeping. But it's fine, it's fine. You can go ahead, please.
So we need to place a priorities and take the right decision. In this part of the world, that's why you hear this type of thing. If you go to Europe and other parts of the world, they make sure they tackle this thing headlong. It's not about shifting blame. Maybe the reason the road want to drink blood, the road is dry, all those kind of stuff. We cannot rule it out here because it's part of the belief in Africa. You understand me? You can't completely rule it out. But as far as we are concerned, we have a lot of roles to play. As you make your best, so you rely on it. Talking about the infrastructural factors, which is one of the issue. The government has a lot of, roles to play by making sure that the roads are in order. The roads are in order. The traffic situation is being controlled. The route for the tankers is well designated. They should not be moving into towns and cities. There should be a normal route for them. You get it
with
now?
Adequate securities.
With adequate securities, fully monitored. Fully monitored. We take a lot of things for granted in this country because why? People feel, I've prayed, so let's go take control. It's beyond that. You have a lot of roles to play to make sure you stay alive. You can't say you prayed and then you mount the truck and you start sleeping. Another critical factor is drug abuse. Drug abuse. Most of these tanker drivers are always on drug, which lead to fatigue. The young men who drive this, if you stop any truck driver today, if you take a census today and start stopping them on the highway and then start checking them, believe you me, 70% will be on drug in this country. They'll be on hard drug, either IDM or any other drug. And this thing makes them, it seduces them. And they get weak. Sometimes they sleep off. Apart from overworking themselves. And when they come to their destinations, they move into hotels, they start drinking, they start in the name of enjoyment and all that. So there is need for adequate monitoring of these drivers. And removing those who normally get themselves involved in drugs and other substances out of the road. Electronic, what do you call it now? Driver licenses, and even taking fingerprint of this is very important. So that if you are taken out and you go back there should be a way of identify these people. Because they can equally go back to that truck. And if you don't have a way of identifying them the way it's done over there, the same problem remains. So these are the things we are talking about.
So it's not a spiritual problem?
As far as I'm concerned, it's not a spiritual problem. It's not a spiritual problem. These are issues that we can handle. If you let me use China for example. If you go to China now, they have a lot of technological innovations put in place to prevent, even in Lagos here. I was listening to a news this morning. They have AI police there now. That's a camera that monitors activities of drivers.
Yeah, at Alausa. Yeah,
and if you are caught, you pay like 50,000. Now, there's no way you can go and argue with that technology. Or they take you to mobile, all those kind of, because it captures your activities, it records full-time event. You understand? Of your offenses. And then you all into this, go and pay the fine. It's not that a human being that you can manipulate. Or when an accident happened, they say they came from the front, it came from the back, so people quickly put their trafficator. Why it was not on before? Just because to win the case. Talking about so many factors are acceptable, my brother. So many factors. A lot need to be done. And it's not about talking, and when it happens again, everybody will just announce it has happened again in Susu State. It has happened here. The governor will come out and condole and visit those people. Everybody will go back to sleep. Until it happens again. So there needs to be a holistic and constant approach, getting stakeholders involved so that we can reduce this menace.
I'm surprised you didn't make mention of the fact that most tanker drivers we can't distinguish the training modalities for tanker drivers.
It's another side.
Because I'm wondering, most of the people that drive these trucks lately that I've seen are usually young boys that are within the age of 16, 17, 18, 25. And that range.
Thank you.
So I'm worried, like most Nigerians are at this point. Should this conversation be of national debate? If for us to have a different driving school for truck drivers and a different school for private vehicles, shouldn't we be having this conversation, Mr.?
Definitely, it's very, very important. It's very important. The truck drivers need to be assessed, retrained and trained, monitored. That is very, very important. And then they need to be examined. They need to be examined because most of them, as you say, they are young boys and they are always high. That's what gives them the confidence, the mind. That's why I pity for those who drag with trailers on the road. You are carrying a small vehicle. You say, this is my right, this is my lane. A trailer is coming. You don't know whether that guy is seeing you or not. Maybe his steering is even locked. If he is on a straight way, want to relax, you'll be holding the steering and coming like that. Then you will stay there and say, well, or you are overtaking or doing any kind of nonsense. They will just mash you. Because they are higher, it's a very high, profile vehicle. So a lot of things are involved. A lot of factors are involved. And every day, as we are talking, people are dying on the road. About 1.9 million people die, according to the UN.
By road accidents?
By road accidents every year. This is a staggering statistics. Worldwide. Over 50 million injured. Some of them breadwinners. And the most vulnerable are those between the age of 20 to 25 or 35 thereabout. These are young people. You get it? So it's a disturbing scenario that requires a holistic approach. The government need to take the lead because they make the laws.
Mr. Chair, as at February this year, well, of course we are still in February, but by the let's reverse back to January this year.
Yes.
We've had the death rate on tanker explosions, especially using Niger State, has risen to 98 people that are affected.
There's another one in Ogun State.
Let's just go by January record. Let's not include that of February. Let's say because we have already summed up that for January. 98 people. These are 98 lives that have been affected. Mr. Chair, you are in the corridor of road accident prevention. Is it that the government is not serious about its fight on the prevention of road accidents, especially by truck drivers, and general antecedent of accident prevention? Or we are paying lip service to it? Or Nigerians themselves are not just taking the issue of road accident prevention to it, treating it with all the urgency it needs and requires?
Everybody has his own blame.
Okay.
The government has their blame, as far as I'm concerned. Like I told you earlier, if the government moves into full enforcement and begin to assess these vehicles using all the regulatory agencies, it will reduce immediately. If you assess 200 tankers today, don't be surprised. You might not get up to 80 that are fit for the road. Why? Because they don't buy them new. Most of them are Belgium. They've been used over there. They are worn out. And they know why they are selling it out, sending it from there. They are very much aware. It's a potential risk to the environment. It can collapse at any time. It can get off the road. The fibers, everything there are weak. And you know our place is like a dumping ground for all those things. Even some of the airlines, as we heard, are not too new. So that is where the government gets their own blame. And the masses themselves should learn to obey the rules and regulations that are guiding this, guiding the rules and the traffic sector, or let me say the road safety sector. Somebody will tell you there's no law in Nigeria. It doesn't sound funny. He beats the light, he does what he wants. Now, if these people are apprehended and being used as example, others will be very careful. You see somebody beating light, just careless, he doesn't care. While others are stopping, he will just go and corner and pass. As if his vehicle has no brake. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
Now, if that kind of person is apprehended, like in Lagos, there was a time if you go on one way, they seize your vehicle and auction it.
Yeah.
I see them auction vehicles several. I see those people crying like babies. Would they ever try it in their life again? Those are hard lines that the government, hard lines and decisions that the government need to start taking, like in FCT here. You don't joke with people. People enjoy freedom where there's no enforcement, where there's no law. That's what they like. But the consequences are very severe because the law are meant to guide the people towards a successful journey on the highway. That is just the thing.
Mr. Ache Julius Ogu, before I let you go, let me bring this question back to your constituency. There is this argument that CSOs, that is civil society organizations, are in charge of road transportations, are not even doing enough sensitization to further support the government in this regard. So I'm asking, how correct is this assertion?
It's not correct. Why I say it's not correct is that, for example, we have a league of NGOs. We have the coalition of road safety NGOs in Nigeria, or the road safety NGOs. I am still the chairman. You understand? If the government did not invite you, and you start knocking on their door, you know what is in Nigeria? It's like you are breaking protocol. So by the time we have been trying to have a good conversation, a good relationship with them, we're trying our best. We have a committee now that consists almost 20 years. Minister of the Health is there, NDLA is there, road safety is there, Star Organization is there. This committee is going to look into road accident issues in Nigeria, road safety and drug prevention, substance abuse prevention. Now, we have government agencies there. Why are we doing this? We are trying to bring them to the fold to see how we can interact and address this problem. But the end justifies the means. You need funds to implement some of these programs. You cannot, if you cannot go to any station and begin to do awareness campaign, you need to pay money. You cannot come to any studio and begin to preach safety on the highway. You need resources, except like what your organization is doing. You understand me? The media has a critical role to play. Not what you are hearing on the radio. Where are you now? They will tell you are going to Maraba. There's go slow. No. What is this area? Lugbe. What's happening on the highway? Somebody was there's traffic here. That's not what we need. We need innovations that connects the people and build a bridge that will make the government relate with the communities, the CSOs, the NGOs, and others in this field. You understand me? There's supposed to be an interaction, constant interaction. And see, if possible, say, government need to make budgets to see for NGOs and CSOs within the space so that they can operate freely and carry out the activities. Because it's not easy to get grant out there. Although Nigeria is has one of the highest rates when it comes to the issue of road crash. And this tanker explosion is another new dimension that is coming. We know that we have populations, we are big. It's a very big country, as they rarely say, the giant of Africa. Now, that is another factor, because the more vehicles on the road, the more congestion, the more accident you might get.
All right, Mr. Ache, on a final note, as a country, as a people, where do we go from here?
We'll be talking about it now. We need to come together, reason together, and see how we can address this issue.
Is there light at the end of the tunnel?
There's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. If the government take the lead and bring the people to the table, and then you start seeing ideas and innovations on how to solve this problem. You get it? You need to get the people involved. Get the people, the community.
Is the problem with ideas or the problem is with implementation?
No. Idea is on idea. One of the problems is with idea. Another one is with implementation. Now, you cannot implement an idea if there's no legislation guiding it. If the government is not involved in that idea, as CSOs, you don't have power to enforce. You don't have power to go to the road and stop any vehicle and say your vehicle is not in order. You can refer or call the agencies involved, call their attention to it. That is the highest you can do.
I thought we've had a lot of that already on the table.
So many of them are on the table.
So many ideas on the plate, but we've not seen implementation. So I'm asking, is the problem with ideas or the problem with implementation?
The two of them. If there's an idea on the table now, and it's not, if it's not taken, or is not recognized by the government, we have a lot of intellectual, let me use this, criminals who take ideas. As I'm talking now, somebody will be writing somewhere, he will get up tomorrow and say he wants to do this. And it's beyond that. We have been in this business, this project, since 2010. We've been addressing, doing research, looking into road accident issues and all that. So it's not a new thing. So you need to get the people involved. Discuss with them. Get them involved in the system. You understand? Some governors are trying their best, like the Enugu State governor. He came to the scene of the last explosion. And he came up with some ideas on how to get this problem solved. But it's beyond that. Since then, have you heard anything? Would they comply? The tanker drivers and the truck drivers themselves, would they comply with that idea? Without enforcement? It can't work. There must be enforcement. So ideas and implementations are like...
Must marry themselves.
Must marry themselves. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Ache Ogu Julius, thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
You're welcome.
What is how far we can run this evening on the desk? I want to say thank you so much for being a part of the show. Even you, my viewers, at home, in your offices, in the car, in whatever place you're watching us online and offline. I want to say thank you so much. Also, we'll come your way again, same time, even on this table for the next edition of The Desk. Remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. I am Godwin Sunday, and from all of us here in the studio, it's bye for now.